Hello. Today we are going to create a Git repository and push it to GitHub. So I think I'm going to start. There's a couple ways. I could create the Git repository first and then do GitHub, but I think I'm going to do the GitHub first because I think it's a little easier to do that way. So let's go to GitHub, and if I log in, it gives me this option of a new right here. And so this is to create a new GitHub repository, so we're going to do that. And then we are going to name this. The only thing I really care about here is the repository name, the fact that it's public. So the repository name is the only thing that's actually required here. So I'm going to call this my repo, and then we are going to create repository. The git ignore is for if you have an actual software application and you want certain files ignored. Add a README. I don't want to do that right now. So go ahead and create. And now we have this handy dandy little screen that shows you some information. So it says quick setup. If you've done this kind of thing before, well, I'm assuming you have not. So let's go here to create a new repository on the command line. Now what they don't tell you about this is that you have to go into the folder that you want. You have to create a folder that's going to match the name that you have here, or it doesn't have to, but you'll be confused if it doesn't. So it's best to have it named the same thing as this. So in my case, I would name it my repo. And so let's start with that. So now I could, so mkdir is a command to create a folder on from the command line. As right now we start, when you start up a terminal, you are in the home directory. So this is the same as if you create a new, I'm on Linux, but if you're on Windows, the folder, if you go to File Explorer, that has my documents and my pictures and all these types of things in it, this is your home downloads. This is your home directory. And this is the same place that you start whenever you open a terminal. And so if I were to make dir my repo right here, I would be creating it at the top level of my home directory. I don't really want to do that because I don't want to fill that up. So instead, I'm going to create a folder called repos. That's going to be where I'm going to put all of my GitHub repos. So now if I do cd, which is change directory, to repos, I'm going into that repos folder I just created. So now if I ls here, there's nothing here because it's empty. Now if I do mkdir, and then I say my-repo, so now I'm going to create another folder called my repo where I'm going to put my GitHub repository that I just created here on GitHub. So with that, now if I type ls, you can see I've got a folder inside of the repos folder that has this name my repo. So now I'm going to go inside of here, my repo, and you can tab to autocomplete on the command line. And then now I'm inside of my repo. So at this point, these commands are very useful. I can just do a copy. Now what this will do is this will automatically create a README file just to have something for your first commit. So I'm assuming you're going to want to put something else in here, like a project, a file, whether it's a shell script or an application of some kind, or even just documents that have notes or something on it. But for now, it's going to start with just adding a README. So this first line creates a file named README and adds the line my repo with a number sign in front of it. And then the second line is git init, which creates the Git repository in the folder that we're in. The next line says git add README. This adds the README file that we just created to the what's called the staging area. In order to do a commit, you have to add it to that staging area first, and then you do commit with -m stands for message, and this is first commit is just the name that you're giving the first commit, and then the next line is git branches, sets the branch to be the main. The branch that you're on is the same branch that is on GitHub, and then git remote add origin. This actually links it to your GitHub website, and this is the exact URL, or a very similar URL. If you cut off the .git, it's the URL. I think if you pay, no, I think it just only works for, never mind, that's not a URL. That just works for Git. But then git push origin main, and that will push to your GitHub account. So let's just copy this button right here. We'll copy all of these at once. And because it's a command line, it's one of the beautiful things about command lines, you can just paste this in, and it just did the first line, did the second line, initialize Git repository, Git init, add readme. We added a commit, so this added it, and this committed it with a name called first commit. It said one file changed, one inserted. Basically, it means that you added some text to a file. That's the insertion, and the file is readme. And then it created mode, and it created readme.md. And then the next one is git branch. We set the branch to main. Just give it remote add origin. Now, whenever you're doing a Git, whenever you're working with the GitHub repo, these two will only ever need to be done once per repository. But anyway, so then we do a git push, and this is setting origin main. After you set origin and main with your push, you're going to have to just put, all you need to do is just git push. So if I do this and hit enter one last time, I have now pushed my GitHub, my Git repository here. So if I do ls right now, you'll see that I have a readme.md file that was created here. A command that's called cat, which will actually look at what's in a file and print it out on the screen, it just has one line called my repo. So, so now, if I go here and I click my repo, you'll see it changes, and now you can see the README with my repo inside of it. And this is actually, if I click on this, the reason it has a hash in front of it was because it's markdown. So if I click this edit, I can actually see the hash of my repo there. So if I just exit out of here, go back to here. All right, so so that's how you commit and push to GitHub.